Also going to make you. I'm going to make you a co-host right now. Hi, everybody. We are still letting people into the meeting. We're going to get going in about 2 minutes. Y'all know the drill. I feel like everybody here has been at startup school before. If you haven't, welcome to your very first startup school. I'm Cleo. I manage this program. I've been doing this for 112 bazillion years, and I love startup school. Not even going to lie to you guys. I wish I kind of was in the other room because there's music. I've just finished a cocktail because you know what? It's 6 o'clock. And it's Thursday, and it's a beautiful, magnificent day. So I think that's where we're at. It's going to be a great night. So everybody, welcome. We'll give it 2 more minutes, and then I will do some housekeeping, and we will get this show on the road. All right, we've got a bunch of people in here tonight, everybody. You know what? It is our second Let's Startup School of the semester, which I can't even lie is a little devastating. I love startup school, and legit, guys, I have my own businesses, and I honestly just keep doing this contract because it brings me joy. But next week, we have our final session, and it's on building a community around your startup. So I brought in a really great speaker who has raised a lot of money through crowdfunding, who understands how to build a community around your product. It's one of those ones you don't want to miss. It's great. It'll be our last segment until we are going to break until fall. I'm not sure if we're coming back in the summer. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's just one of those funny things where we have to wait on Ryerson to tell us if we've been approved. That's just the way it goes. For anybody who's new here, I wanted to tell you really quickly about Ryerson Zone Learning. Now, the best part is about Zone Learning, you don't have to be a Ryerson student to be part of it. And there are like 10 or 12 different zones. I'm not going to play the video because it's lengthy, but at Zone Learning, there's like the engineering zone, the DMZ, which is a tech startup incubator, the fashion zone, the design fabrication zone, and a million others. Guys, if you want help with your startup, if you want help finding money for your startup, if you want help finding staff for your startup, if you need to consult, if you're even only in the ideation phase of your startup, whatever the case is, Zone Learning is open to everybody, and you absolutely don't have to be a Ryerson student to be part of Zone Learning, which is the best part. I'm going to drop a document in our chat right now, and you guys can just add your name and email to that document, and Zone Learning will reach out to you guys for any additional help that you guys need. They're super fantastic, and they're really dope and well connected, which is like the best part. So putting it in there right now, just add your name and email address, and I'll make sure that Zone Learning people hit you guys up and make it a whole vibe. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to Phil Smith. I have not memorized his bio, but I always think it better in these situations to allow the people who are speaking at startup school to speak for themselves. He will tell you everything about it. Sidebar, I forgot to tell you, I know our website is down, guys. We don't have our slides and all that good stuff for all of our past sessions. We're just in the middle of migrating over to a new website. All of our previous sessions you can find on YouTube. Just go under Ryerson Startup School. You'll find everything all the way up until last week and for basically the last 5 years on there. So if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Don't forget at the end of this I was going to say segment, but session to fill out our survey that I'm going to send you so that we can keep bringing you Startup School. Phil, my dear friend, take it away.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Cleo. So we've got a full house today. Wow. So this is awesome. Let me jump into some slides here. Let me share the screens here first. Here. Go with this and share. Okay. Can everybody see the slide? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Hopefully that's a yes.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Cool. All right. So we've got a ton to cover today, and hopefully I don't.
Sorry, Phil. We can't really hear you.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
Just come a little bit.
Okay. Let's see what we can do here.
When you tap the mic, the sound didn't actually come through. I wonder if it's coming through another source.
Yeah. If I go to Zoom here, mute my audio. Let's see here. Now it's coming through here. Select the speaker. No, it should be coming through here. Is that better? I just turned it up here on my interface here. Is that any better, or is that exactly the same?
Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Your mic settings might just be a little bit low, Phil.
Yeah.
That's weird, guys. I can hear him like loud and clear. Can anybody else hear him loud and clear? Drop your responses in the chat. I'm recording this, by the way, guys. So if there's any issues.
Yeah. Audio settings.
Weird. I'm the only one who can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, let's try. Let's go low. Is that any better? I selected something else, or is that exactly the same? Same?
I feel like everyone should put their volume to full because everyone keeps saying, "Oh, only if my volume is full." So let's all move our volume to full because that's.
That? Okay, so I could change the audio source to, I guess, my screen, if that helps.
Yeah, maybe let's just try your screen and see if that works.
Okay, is that better?
Oh, you're super clear now.
Oh, way better.
Okay, awesome.
Everyone agrees.
Yeah,
this
much better.
All right, okay. Then this is it. All right, cool. All right, so let me put this big again. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so you guys can see my screen and you can hear me. We're all good. We're good to start, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Okay. So, how to launch a store and profitably run your first Facebook ad, even if you've never advertised. So, I'm gonna show the agenda that we're gonna go through today. But before I do, I want to tell you guys a little bit about who I am. So, my name's Phil. I have these two crazy kids that are out right now. That I got them to kind of have dinner somewhere else. So if this goes pretty long, then you might hear them crashing through. But that is, I would say, my first job. But I also own a Facebook ad agency called Frozen Lemon Media, and we specialize in scaling fashion and lifestyle brands. We kind of we do work in a lot of different niches. But fashion and lifestyle tend to be where we really excel. So one of the zones I'm actually advisor on, the fashion zone, I'm actually an advisor on that one. So I started the agency in 2013, and in that time I've worked on over 150 plus website stores and ad campaigns. In the last 36 months alone, I've helped my small business clients generate over $100 million in sales, and most of that was on Facebook. Oh, why isn't this changing? There we go. Okay, some current and past clients and campaigns I've worked on. I mostly work on small business clients, but Sony Music, Armani, Fossil, things like that. Okay, so most importantly, I've made a lot of mistakes, and the reason is that I kind of purposely do. It's kind of the methodology that we use is that, we try to fail as fast as we can. We try to test as much as we can. And this is the only way that we can stay on the cutting edge of what we do. Oh, by the way, guys, any questions, if you guys want to write them down or something like that, and we'll address them at the end so that we can kind of just go through this and cover as much as we can. And then at the end, we'll try to cover as many questions as we can. Okay. So, so I mean, this is part of the methodology, right? We try to test as much as we can. So when we have a new product or we're testing a new market or something like that, we're testing different messaging, we're testing different images, we're test. And the whole point of the testing is to find the failures as quick as possible, and then refine as much as possible. And we'll get into some of that as well. Okay, so my goal for this workshop is for you guys to walk away from it with a foundation and a plan of action, confidently set up your Shopify store, number one, and number two, to launch your first Facebook or Instagram ad. Okay, so this is the challenge of this presentation. So this is my goal. I want the information to kind of go down easy. I don't want it to go like this. There is the issue of tutorial, which we're going to start with, and that's going to be kind of setting up the Shopify stuff. But that's not really the stuff that's going to grow your business. That's just going to kind of get that store going and set up properly. Now, it is really important because tracking is important and all of that, and we'll get into that. But the stuff that's going to help you, the stuff that's going to take your business from point A to point B is going to be kind of the second half of this presentation. And that's kind of the methodology behind it, the psychology, the stuff that typically works, what to test out, how to set a budget, things like that. Okay, so 3 assumptions going into this presentation. First assumption is that you guys aren't computer illiterate, right? If I say, okay, well, you got to set up a trial here, you guys can do that. Second thing is you have a personal Facebook profile. Most of this is going to be centered around Facebook ads. So that's really important. And then you have a Facebook business page. And if you don't, it's fine, but you can't advertise without a Facebook business page. So that's important to have. Okay. All right. So here's the agenda for the presentation. So we're gonna get the Shopify store set up, and I'm gonna go through screenshots here. I'm not actually going in, or else this presentation would be hours. So there's gonna be screenshots, but a lot of this is, starting a trial with Shopify is not difficult, but I'm gonna take you through the fast route, basically what to click on and what you can poke around after, but at least to just get you up fast and running. Second thing is getting set up with Facebook ads, connecting your Facebook ads to Shopify, which is a little different now, and I'll explain why. A little different than it was 6 months ago. How to get clear on your goals, how to identify your best, most responsive audience to target, how to design and structure your ads even if you don't have a designer, the 4 ways an ad can go wrong, and basically what to avoid, determining the appropriate budget. And this is where I'm going to go into, when when or how do you determine if you've got an unlimited ATM? And how do you kind of create that for yourself with Facebook ads? And then we're going to wrap it all up with expertly navigating the ads manager. Okay. Cool. Well, let's dive in. All right. So getting set up on Shopify. Okay. So what is Shopify? Shopify is an e-commerce solution. It's an online shopping cart to sell, ship, and manage your product. Right. So the first thing, go to Shopify at this address, click on start free trial. It's right in the top right corner. You're going to be given these 3 windows. Fill in this, fill in this, and fill in this. This stuff isn't too hard. And again, guys, I want to get through this as quick as possible so that we can get to the good stuff. Okay? But this stuff is easy, right? You just set up a trial. But then we'll start connecting this stuff. Okay. There's 3 things you have to do after you've signed up for a free trial. Add your products, customize theme, and add your domain. Okay. So click on add products first. And when you're adding the products, there's a few things to note. Actually, there's 4 things to note here. So when people are setting up their products, basic stuff, you've got the title, description, photos. But in your description, just a little thing that will get you a few more sales is to actually structure your description. Okay. So instead of leaving it just as a description, this is the product, this is what it looks like, or whatever, this is the function of it, whatever. Format it to lend it to somebody that doesn't like to read. Assume that nobody on the internet likes to read. So when they come to your product, they're a little more interested, but try to use certain things like bolded. Try to absolutely use bullet points. If you can add any social badges, that helps as well to increase conversions on the product page. But try to format it that way. Your features and benefits should be bulleted, right? Also add any value propositions that your store has. So things like warranty, that's important. Contacts, fast ship, free shipping. All of these things are value propositions. And if they are product specific, then put it in the description, right? And if you can, then put it as an image, right? And then you kind of a little bit. If there's just a big block of text, then they're not going to really get that message. So emojis, that works as well. Another thing is that if your value proposition is actually store-wide, then actually put it into the header of your theme, so that it's constantly there. Things like contact us number, that increases conversions in the header or the footer, actually both. Just anything that shows trust. Okay. Add product types and tags. So this is important from a standpoint of the theme. Most themes actually use these things to filter out, right? So if you set this up properly, then you won't have to worry about it if you have a one product SKU, then great, go in there and do whatever you want. You can always edit it later. But as this starts to build up and you add more and more products to your store, then you want to have this organized, or else you're going to have to go back and, add it to like 100 or 200 products. And so that's not fun. But yeah, and then you can install anything you want and they'll usually have a filter. Okay. The other thing is use comparison prices, right? So the comparison price, what that does is it adds a strike through the actual number that it's not. So if you're saying the price is 15, but it's usually at $22.95, most themes will have this strike through. And so it's a little conversion bump. And then And then obviously your variants like size, color, gender, they go here, and that's on the product page still. And then how the search engines, how this product will appear on the search engines. Now, by default, it's going to take from the description, but you can change that. You can add your own descriptions just for search engines. And the reason you would do this is because if you're writing a description for the web page, it can potentially be long. Whereas if you don't plan that for the search engine, then your persuasive text is going to be truncated on the search engine, and so you want to control that truncation, I guess. Okay, so the next thing is customizing your theme. Okay, so that's going to be on the left-hand side under online store. It's going to be here. And by the way, guys, even though I'm brushing through this stuff, this is being recorded, and so I'm sure it's going to go live, and you guys can go through this and pause it however you want. Okay, so once you click on that, you're going to have access to this right here, explore free themes. So you can get whatever free themes you want. Now, I tend to like a premium theme. I use it for a lot of the stores, a lot of client stores, a lot of our own internal stores, called Turbo. This is from a company called Out of the Sandbox. It is premium, and it's about, I think it's about $350 US, but it's very customizable. It's very it works for a lot of different stores. Okay, and then your domain. So there's two things you can do here. You can buy the domain directly from Shopify, or you can transfer your own domain over. Okay. If you are transferring your domain over, if you bought one from GoDaddy, you would click on here, connect existing domain. But you're going to have to change what's called your DNS. So there's instructions on this right here. Okay, so once you actually put your domain in there, you're going to see instructions here. And it has all the popular ones. It has GoDaddy. It shows you how to do it with that. It shows you how to do it with Bluehost, all of that stuff. But basically, it's a little piece of code to direct the URL to Shopify, right? And just follow these steps, and you'll be fine on that. Okay. All right. So setting up your business manager and Facebook ad account. All right. So what is a business manager? So the business manager is, and well, a lot of people ask this because they have a personal profile that they advertise on. The business manager is a little different because it separates your business from your personal profile altogether, right? You don't have to worry about mixing your business and personal content. There's a few benefits. Well, there's a lot of benefits to using the business manager over the personal profile. So the business manager, you can share assets. So an asset would be something like a Facebook ad account or an Instagram account or anything like that, or pixel data, which we'll kind of get into in a second. You could request or share page access, add or request ad accounts, like I said, manage users, manage partners. So the most important thing here is custom audiences. So you can create audiences based on a ton of different variables. So if you posted a video to your Facebook page, or anybody that went to your website and stayed for, like, let's say 30 seconds or something, you can take all of these combinations and you can create an audience of just the people that say that video you posted maybe watched 50% of it or 75% of it, and you can create different audiences. So you could say, okay, I want to create an audience that, I have a 1-minute video, and everybody that only watched 3% of it, I want to actually exclude from spending money on them anymore, because they might not like this stuff, or maybe they got this delivered to them 3 times and they only watched it for 3 seconds. So you can do things like that, or you could say, well, I want to send a second video to these people that watch 75% of a particular video, or if they watch this video but not this video, and so on and so on. So that's custom audiences. You can also create things like anybody that interacted with your Instagram account in any way. If they visited your account, liked, shared, commented, saved, anything like that, and you create a custom audience. And the cool thing is that, let's say you're doing a brand partnership with another company. You can actually ask them to share their custom audience with you, and you can advertise to their custom audience. So if it's an influencer or something like that, and you don't really want to rely on their organic reach, or let's say you made a deal with them that said, okay, well, we'll pay you, $5,000 to post for 24 hours. And then, after that, they're going to take it down, right? Or put on their stories. Well, you could make a deal where you say, look, we'll give you $1,000. We'll give you $1,000 extra on top of that. We'll give you $6,000 if you, post, you take it down, do whatever you want, but we want access to your custom audience, anybody that interacted in the last 30 days, so that we could run our own advertising to that. And then you take that video of that influencer and you blast it to their audience, right? So you're getting that exposure. So anyways, that's custom audiences. Okay, cool. So creating a business manager. So you would go to this address here, business.facebook.com, click on create account, right in the top right corner. Okay, you're going to be asked to log in. Then you're going to have to put in your information here, your name, your business email. Okay, you're going to enter your business manager name. This can be anything. You can change this after. Your name and your business email. And then your business details here. Okay. So once you get all that information in, now you have a business manager account. And now you have to actually fill it with stuff. You have to connect things. Okay. So there's three things that you have to connect. There is the pages, the account, or the ad account, and the people. Okay. So like I said, you can't run ads unless you have a page. So we're going to click on add page, and then you have three options. You have add your own page, you can add somebody else's page, or you can create your own page. Okay, or create a new page, sorry. Okay, the second thing, add ad account. You have the same things here. Add your own, add someone else's, or create a new one. And then people. So with this one, you're going to have the ability to add employee access, admin access, these four essentially. Now, admins have access to everything in the business manager. Okay, they can add themselves to certain assets. They can add other people. They can add other people to different assets. So they have full access to everything. Employees don't. Employees are added to the ad account, but they can't manage people. And I believe you have to add them to the assets, right? So they're in there, but you have to connect them to the assets. Okay, and then financial roles. You can choose to give an employee finance stuff, like put in the credit cards and all that jazz. Okay, cool. So you have that. Now we have to create a pixel. So what is a pixel? So a pixel is a piece of code. You place it on your website, and basically it's kind of like your own little AI, right? Your own little bot that Facebook's giving you, right? And the point of it is so that Facebook could see everything that's going on your site. And the reason this is important is because you're going to tell Facebook what you want it to do for you. And we're going to get into that. It's called an objective. So you're going to tell Facebook, I want people to purchase things from my store, or I want people to visit this page, or I want people to click on an ad. And I'll explain why. You might listen to that and be like, well, why wouldn't I just tell Facebook I want people to buy? Well, yeah, that's true. But this AI is kind of like a baby when you first create it. and it knows nothing about your site. It knows nothing about the visitors or anything. And this is why you have to place it on your site and then feed it a lot of data. Once you feed it the data, then it starts getting smarter. And we're going to go through how to train the pixel. But this is essentially what it is. It's seeing what types of people are just viewing and what types of people are purchasing, and and all this other stuff. Okay, so that's why we want to create a pixel. All right, so creating the Facebook pixel. So once we're in the business manager, we're gonna click on the top left checkered menu here. And we're gonna have this pop-up that comes out. We're gonna go to business settings. Okay, in the business settings on the left-hand side, we're gonna see pixel, and we're gonna click add pixel or add button. It's gonna have a pop-up that comes up, name your pixel, and you're good to go. Okay, so now you have your pixel, you gotta add people to it. Okay, there's 2 more steps here. So you add people, this is where you're gonna add yourself or somebody else. And the reason you would do this is because when you start to advertise, and I'm gonna show you this as well, but when you start to advertise, you have to select what pixel you want to use in the advertising, right? So what bot is Facebook gonna use to figure out, to ask basically, well, what's going on the site, right? And so you can't access that unless you add yourself to this pixel. Okay, and then the other thing is connected assets. So this is where you're going to add things like your page, your ad account, things like that. Okay. All right. So you actually don't have to. This slide's old actually. This is the old way that you would have to install or connect the pixel to Shopify. So this is the only slide I believe that's outdated. Okay, so now in Shopify, you would go back to the dashboard in Shopify. You would go to preference here because everything's set up in Facebook now. Everything's ready to go. So we would go to preference here, and we would scroll over to where it says Facebook pixel. You click on setup Facebook. You're going to get this pop-up comes up, and you're going to click add sales channel. Then you're going to get these options, and you're just basically going to give access to everything. Now this should cover everything. Now there's a little bit of a caveat, and I believe this is fine. This kind of covers the pixel issue, but Apple is coming out with a update in iOS 14.5 or something. And they're basically blocking third-party tracking. So any pixels, basically. And Facebook has been at war with Apple for, months now because of this situation, because Apple is pushing this update. And so it's basically allowing apps to only track 8 events. And an event is something like view page or add to cart or purchase, anything like that. So with that, there's a different way to kind of set this whole thing up. And it's called Conversion API. I don't know if I have a slide on this. I don't go crazy in depth on this. This should cover it. But what Facebook is asking people to do now is connect basically to the actual domain itself. So the server is giving that information, not the website. So it's no longer a little code on the website that's passing information over. It's actually the server. So Shopify has its own analytics, and that's pushing data over directly to Facebook. Now, this setup should cover that. But if it doesn't, if there's anything that you guys run into here, I'm sure there's a follow-up or something. I'm not sure if there's any follow-up that we can do here, but okay. So that's that. You've got Facebook connected to Shopify. You've got an ad account. You've got everything set up. So before we start spending any money or running any ads, we have to get clear on some goals. Okay. So you want to get started. Okay, you want to set some goals, and I'm going to go through the SMART goal framework. And I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with this framework, but we want to get this in place because we want to know that the ads are actually serving your business. We don't want to just kind of run ads and then, okay, well, they're successful, but they're not really helping your business. I'm going to go into how that can happen. So first question to ask yourself is, why do you want to run Facebook ads or any ads? Right? What's the goal? Is it recovering from COVID-19? Thing is, you can put really, but if it's not formatted in a way that has structure, then it's just an idea. Okay, and this is how you structure with the SMART. Basically, SMART is an acronym. Okay, so be clear on the why, what, how, and when you'll accomplish your goals. So the S in SMART is for specific, right? So what do you want to accomplish with your Facebook ads, right? Now, when we say what do we want to accomplish, we're not talking about, oh, I want to grow my business, right? Okay, that's cool, but what metric, what actual number do you want to affect? I'll give you an example. We had a SaaS company that we were working with, and they kind of had two of these goals. They didn't have, they came to us and they said, well, we want to increase our subscribers. We're like, okay, and we want to increase our revenue. Okay, so which one is it, right? So try to be very specific, right? Because to them, they had this idea of, well, if we increase our subscribers, then we increase our revenue. And that's not exactly true. What if you just got all of your current subscribers to pay you more? Then your metric of more revenue would actually increase, and this SMART goal would actually be successful. But if you have these two metrics that you're trying to grow, it's not actually it's not actually working, right? So you can't create a plan if you don't have a specific KPI, is what we call a key performance indicator, that we're following. Okay, measurable. So the next one is, how are you tracking this? Right, so this is really important. If saying more revenue is not really the best example, right? Yes, it's specific on a KPI, which is awesome, right? But how are we tracking more revenue? What tools are we using? Is it a certain time where you have to physically count things? We have to be able to measure this. So if your goal doesn't have measurement, if you don't have that in place, then you're doomed to fail this, right? You want to quantify the KPI. Okay, achievable. So it's cool to be ambitious, just don't be delusional. So if you're making $5,000 a month and you want to make $5 million a month, can you do it in 6 months? I mean, if you had investors and all kinds of stuff, then, okay. But you want to be as realistic as possible. Do you have the resources to accomplish this goal? Is this realistic? Do you have, if you put in all the effort, and commitment. Will that affect it? Can this happen? Is it achievable? Right? Relevant. So you can have a goal to increase your followers on Quora. I have an example here by 100K in the next month, and you could succeed at that goal. But is it relevant to your business? Does that actually help? If your customers are on Quora, then cool. Then it might actually help. But if it's not relevant, we want to stay away from vanity metrics. We want to stay away from things that are not relevant. They just don't move the needle or anything like that, then they shouldn't be in your SMART goal. Okay. And timely, right? I've already kind of alluded to this, but if you want to make $5 million in 6 months, then that's your time frame. You want to put a time frame on this, right? So that you can establish this goal. Okay. Cool. So how to identify the best, most responsive audience for your advertising. So who to target to keep your costs low. Okay, so there's kind of 4 categories here: precise, broad, behavioral, and demographic. Okay, and these are kind of the sizes of them. The first one is precise interest targeting. That's a small audience. Then you have broad interest, a little bigger, behavioral targeting, and demographic. We're going to go into all these. Okay, so with your precise interest targeting, these are smaller audiences, somewhere in the 100K to 2 million size. You'll generally see a higher conversion rate here. They're passionate about what you're targeting them for. If you have a brand new pixel, you kind of have to start with a bunch of these. And you want to test these too, right? You want to split these out. You want to test as much as possible. But the thing is that the pixel knows nothing about your product, knows nothing about your audience. So you want to tell it. You want to feed it some data. And you want to kind of throw a whole bunch of stuff at it. Now, Facebook knows who's likely to click, who's likely to view a video, who's likely to, make a purchase on maybe the 3rd time that they visit a website. They know all this stuff about us. They know our behaviors. And they know, and obviously they know the interests, but they don't know who's going to purchase your product. They know the likelihood of certain things, and they don't know who you want to go after. So with this, you're telling it, well, I want to find people that like this very specific thing. Send them to my website. And they're going to send people to your website, and maybe they make a purchase, maybe they don't. Now, whatever the event is, Facebook wants to see at least 50 of those things. So if you want Facebook to learn who is most likely to purchase your product, then you have to feed it 50 a week, 50 purchases a week. Now, if you don't have that data, then you'll have to backtrack a little bit, and you'll have to go to something that is going to get at least 50, whatever you choose to tell Facebook. So it could be an add to cart. You'll get more add to carts than you will purchases. You'll get more views than carts. And actually, we'll go into this a little bit, so I'm not going to go too in depth on this right now. But so anyways, that's precise interest targeting. Okay, here's an example. So with precise interest targeting, something like I love dogs, I love pugs, or I love my pug. Example here has 213,000 people in this audience of people that love their pugs, right? And I'll contrast that to broad interest so that we can dive down a little bit more into that. But broad interest this could be massive, right? This could be 3 million, 50 million. This can be insane. The size of this audience. Scalability is almost unlimited. You'll get a lower conversion rate. You'll also get likers by association. So what that means is, so let's say it's a broad audience and it's you're targeting like pugs, for instance. I might be a liker by association, even though I don't like any pages that are pugs. I don't visit any websites that are pugs, anything like that. But let's say I have a friend that owns a pug and she loves the pug, and she's a good friend, and she posts a picture of the pug every single day. And because she's my friend, I like the picture every single day, or I comment on the picture every day, right? Because of my interaction, I'm actually a liker of a pug by association. So I'm actually in this group, even though I wouldn't buy anything. Not that I don't like pugs, by the way. For any people that that have pugs, but the point is that I'm not somebody that will convert on this target, right? However, though, Facebook is more and more liking media buyers, people that do Facebook ads, to take their hands off the wheel and let their AI kind of figure it out. But the thing is that you're going to be spending a lot of money. So could you do a big, broad audience to a fresh pixel? You're going to be spending a lot of money because Facebook's just going to throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right? So with this type of audience, it's best paired with a mature pixel, or what we call a seasoned pixel, a pixel that has learned, that has the data and all of that stuff. Then you can go wide open. You don't even have to put an interest, right? You just go wide open and say, okay, Facebook, go find me people, and it actually does really good. So here's an example. So this one is a broad one. This is 20 million people. And this is just pugs. It's not people that love, it's not I love my pug, it's just pugs. So these are short tail keywords. It's not specific or anything. It's just an interest. But again, you get likers by association with this. Okay. If you want to go even more broad, you can go with dogs, right? That has 500 million, right? And again, the bigger the audience, the more opportunity, but only with a seasoned pixel. If you don't have a seasoned pixel, then this is a mess. Okay, so behavioral targeting. This is the stuff that, people generally look at Facebook in a negative way with, right? It's also one of the most powerful things with Facebook advertising. So behaviors are the activities that people do on and off of Facebook that help inform their device usage, purchase behavior, or intent, travel preferences, and more. Behaviors are collected from both someone's activity on and off Facebook through the Facebook and through the Facebook family of apps. So, so we agreed to this, by the way, in the privacy policy and all the stuff when we signed up to Facebook. It is all in there, but they do read your email. They do listen to they're as long as the app is open, they listen to what we're saying. Have any of you guys, said something or had a conversation, then all of a sudden you pop open that app and there it is, right? And it's something that you haven't ever thought of, or you haven't said like basically ever. It's just a new topic altogether, and then boom, it's there. Well, that's because Facebook's listening as well. So this stuff is creepy, but it's super powerful. I look at like the stuff like, I don't know, is it Darren Brown? That's the mentalist or whatever, and he uses behaviors to anticipate or lead somebody in a certain direction. I feel like Facebook kind of does that, or the AI kind of does that. It knows when somebody's going to convert. It knows that, okay, well, statistically, this and that, and it's making all these calculations. And it knows when you're going to buy something, or if you're just a clicker. And this comes down to the other thing. If you choose an optimization, if you tell Facebook, okay, get people to my site, then it's going to find people that all they do is click on everything, or, get people to add to cart. Well, then it's going to find people that just add to cart, but not necessarily purchase. And there are a lot of people. I know my wife, for instance, she purchases a lot, but, what she'll do as well is just to save it. She'll actually go to a store and she'll put all the items in her cart. She won't buy all the items, but she'll put them in the cart. I don't know, but Facebook's monitoring all that, right? It knows who adds the cart, who doesn't purchase, when they purchase, how often they purchase, right? How much money they spend, things like that. So behavioral targeting, it's also things like this, life events, things like anniversary, or, what devices they use, things like that. Okay. All of this stuff is good for refining an audience, right? So, one of the things that we do is we'll divide iOS users. Actually, first we'll divide desktop users from mobile. So we'll target everybody on mobile. Usually you'll see more purchases come from mobile than they do desktop. You'll see actually all interaction and stuff like that are more on mobile. You could literally run campaigns and just disregard desktop. You'll lose some sales, but I'm saying, like, you can actually be profitable, but you can't do it the other way around. That's very hard. But with mobile, you can also even get more refined. So you can say, okay, well, I'd like to target iOS users versus Android. And you'll see that, you'll see more purchases actually coming from iOS as well. That's kind of a statistic as well. So it's good for refining an audience. It's good for cutting budget, because what you can do in the ad account is you can see where your budget's going. You could see, okay, well, Facebook did test the budget on desktop or Android, and we got no purchases there. So, or we got a purchase, but it cost us $100 to make a purchase. Our product is only $50. Whereas iOS, it only costs us $10 to make a purchase, right? In advertising cost. Okay. All right, and then you have demographic targeting, and this is the most broad stuff, right? Like relationships, age, things like that. Okay. Things that are cool with this is like, parents with children's this age, or preschoolers and things like that. So if you have a product that's a baby product, it's very easy to target that based on demographic. So there's two other audiences, custom audience, which we kind of went into. This also includes something for retargeting, which we're not getting into here, but retargeting is basically if somebody came to your site, you're going to deliver an ad just to those people, not the people that didn't view the ads. And we are going to get into this stuff as well. So I'll save that to after. And then we have lookalikes. Now, the goal of running any advertising on Facebook is that you can get to a lookalike audience as fast as possible. And the lookalike is basically creating an audience that with certain characteristics that you tell Facebook you want to target. So let me say that a different way. So if you have a list of purchasers, then you can create a lookalike of those purchasers, and you can tell Facebook, find people that are within 1% similarity of the people that are purchasing the product, right? Now, the cool thing is that you can do this from offline. So you can upload a list. So if you have an offline business, you can take a database of all the people that you have emails or their contact information, upload it to Facebook. Facebook could take that information as a seed audience and then find people that are similar to that, right? And then the point is that you have a whole list of lookalikes and that you just push out your ads to these lookalikes. So Facebook's fully trained at this point, knows exactly who to go after, when to go after them, how to get purchases, and then it just constantly optimizes as well. Right. Okay, so how to design and structure your ads, what visuals to use, what words to use, and how to create a strong call to action so you will actually get results even if you don't have a designer. Okay, so there's different formats with Facebook. This is the most common, and they typically have these three elements at least. So we have the primary text, the stuff that the ad actually says, the creative, and then we have the headline and the call to action. So for ecom, the primary text is actually, shorter generally works better. Okay, and that's this right here, the primary copy text. Okay, shorter generally works better. This is for non-functional e-commerce. For utility products, things that you can actually use, you can try the longer text, and we'll go over kind of the different stages that's actually next. But just as kind of like a rule of thumb, shorter text does better for ecom, generally speaking. You're creative. This is probably the most important for e-commerce, for selling stuff online. Now, to preface that, I don't know if we have any service-based businesses here. If we do, then let me take that back, and that would actually be a longer text actually works better for service-based businesses. But again, I'll get into that in a second. But and then the creative, that's really important for e-com, less important for service. And then you've got the headline and text, or the CTA. Right? The headline is essentially your hook, right? What is the main thing you want people to take away from this? And then your call to action is what's the next thing that you want people to do? Okay. So these are the stages of traffic, or at least this is what we name them. So there's cold traffic. These are users that are seeing your ad for the first time. They don't know who you are. They don't know anything about you or your brand or anything like that. You have warm traffic. These are users that have seen your ad maybe multiple times, or they've shown some interest. And then you got hot traffic. These are people that have either bought from you or show a very strong intent to buy. And the messaging behind all these three categories of traffic is different. Okay, so with your primary text, when you're trying to get the attention of somebody that's never heard of you before or anything like that, you want to tap into their emotion. You want this to be outcome based, but you want it to be also emotion based. Our decision making is around 85 to 90% emotional, 10% logic. So don't try to be logical here unless you have like a very, product that's I don't know. Tchotchke comes to mind. But what I mean is like a product that's impulsive, right? If it's very impulsive, but even then, still with cold traffic, it's got to be emotional, right? What problem are you solving? But frame that with emotion. Now, a little hack here is that if you can tie your product into this big three, right? Health, wealth, or relationship, then you win, right? Because those three categories don't have any price. So lead with that, and if your product can tie into one of those, and lead with that, and then introduce your product later. Right? And there's a few formulas for this. If you guys want to check out the PAS formula, problem, agitate, solution. There's also the ADA formula. These are all copywriting formulas, by the way. That's attention, interest, desire, action. That's the AIDA. Those are the two most popular. Yeah, so that's cold traffic, emotion. Warm traffic. So this is where you're going to start talking about features, but you're also going to be mentioning reviews, right? So this is still outcome based, but you're talking specifically about the thing that, like, the how your product helps, right? So if you have video testimonials, they're actually great for warm audience, right? And then here on hot traffic, you want scarcity. Scarcity is, scarcity is the thing that Kickstarter is based on. The whole thing of Kickstarter was built on scarcity. Scarcity always works. I try to put scarcity in everything that you have. And if you have to, it doesn't have to be like, well, this is our offer and we're taking it away at this time. This is our normal offer. It can be a value add. It could be, well, we have this offer, and for this week only, we're partnering with this other brand. And so, you guys can get this for a week, but after a week, it's gone, right? And usually if you have those type of things, sending an email, you're going to see that, like the last 2 days, you're going to see a spike at the beginning of the week. If you ever did a promotion like that, you get a spike at the beginning of the week, and then like the last hour, you're just going to see a bunch of orders come through, and that's because of the power of scarcity. So those are the 3 stages of traffic here. So what formats are best for the stages of traffic? So for cold, you're looking at videos. Still images are basically good across the board, but videos really work well. Actually, videos are really good across the board too, to be honest. But videos specifically for top of funnel or cold traffic, if you can get a video, so the average watch time on Facebook is about 6 seconds on a video. So if your first 6 seconds of a video can be a great hook, something like slice your best part of the video and put it to the front, and then get their attention, and then start your video. That actually works great. So video top funnel or cold traffic, single image or carousels for warm traffic, because this is more consideration stage. So carousels are great here. And then hot traffic, carousels are good too. Single images, obviously, like I said, across the board are good. Catalogs are really good. Facebook uses its AI to basically show your catalog to the person, shows the right product in your catalog to the right person at the right time. This thing is super powerful. We put on hot traffic, we put catalog, and it works like gangbusters. It's great. Okay, so pro tip. So when you're using your image, try to stay away from colors that blend into Facebook. You want to stay with colors that are kind of contrast, right? You want it to pop. Think of each one of these elements as a relay team in a way, right? They all have the baton at some point, and then they pass it on. So the image, its only purpose is to stop somebody from scrolling, right? That's the only thing. So it really starts with the creative. And then after that, somebody's going to look at the primary text. So at that point, they're going to hand off the baton to the primary text, and the person is going to read there. If you can intrigue them with that, then the primary text hands the baton off to the headline, and then the headline hands it off to this call to action here. Okay, so they've all got to kind of work together. If one of the links are broken, then it doesn't matter how good your primary text is, your headline or your CTA. If this blends into Facebook's color, then nobody's going to actually stop. And so if nobody stops, nobody's going to get to you. You know what I mean? And so, so you've got to make sure that all of these elements are strong. Okay. Okay, so CTAs. If they're seeing it for the first time, try not to be so aggressive. You don't want to start off by saying, hey, you don't know me, buy now. Right? You want to start your primary text with more of an emotional thing, and you can use something like the learn more button, right? The next time they see an ad, maybe another learn more. You could probably play around with the shop now or whatever. But learn more is more appropriate for the warm traffic. And then scarcity, it's shop now. You guys are going to lose the deal. You guys are going to lose this. Shop now, get it now, and all of that. Okay? Okay. So how to get epic creative for your Facebook ads, even if you're not a designer. So here's 4 places. Most people know Canva. Canva is a great resource. There's a bunch of other ones that have popped up. I'd recommend looking or signing up or subscribing to AppSumo. AppSumo is a marketplace for startup SaaS companies. And so a lot of SaaS companies will offer lifetime deals for the users. They have a massive database. And so they use this as kind of their seed funding. And so what ends up happening is there's a lot of like clones of great software, and they're like every few months there's a clone of Canva that pops up, and you can get a lifetime deal. I think there was Crello or something like that, and that's actually I got that one. It's awesome. I still use Canva, but Unsplash is great for royalty-free images. It has a lot of resources, or a lot of images there. Placeit is great if you have any T-shirts or any kind of traditional things like hats or anything like that. Placeit will superimpose your logo or your design directly onto actually people just talking or whatever. And then Shaker is great. You can create awesome videos in minutes, and it's really good. Out of all of the video makers, there's a lot. There's Animato, there's Promo, all of those, depending on your style, but Shaker is probably the highest end I've seen out of all of them. It's really good. So, okay, so 4 ways an ad can go wrong and how to avoid these mistakes. So, mistake number 1, incorrect targeting. So one common mistake is that beginner media buyers or brands, they get excited with large audiences, right? This is not a billboard. This isn't anything like that. So this is you want to be, as like I said, if you don't have trained pixels, you want to be as specific as possible. So targeting the US would get you this guy. And if you're this brand, this probably is not the targeting you would want to get, right? You are going to get, people that might like this stuff, but this becomes very expensive very fast. Again, if you have a mature pixel, you could literally open it up to US and it will know how to find the right people. But at the beginning, incorrect targeting can kill you. Okay, mistake number 2, not spending enough on ads, right? So when you're testing, when you're running initial tests, you've got to figure out where your cost per purchase is, your cost per acquisition is. And that might be at $100, but you might get to 98 and it might hurt so much because you spent, let's say, whatever on it. You spent thousands of dollars or a few $100 or something, whatever. But your customer might be here. You might have the right targeting. This might be the cheapest, but you're like, 98. It's important to know, first of all, that this is not the only metric to look at, right? And I'm going to get into that in a second. But there's a way to know when to kill your ad early. And you don't have to spend at 100. But knowing those early indicators, it reduces the anxiety of this budget, right? And so again, so mistake number 2 is insufficient investment. Okay, so the other thing is you're not separating your audiences into different ad sets. So Facebook actually recommends combining as much audiences as you can, and there is a place for that. I'm not going to get into audience overlap right now, but you don't. How do I say that? So when Facebook's targeting, it can break down almost anything. It could break down the device, it could break down the location, it could break down the age, it could break down anything. It could tell you where it spent money, who bought, who clicked, all of that stuff. What it can't do is give you any of this information if you don't split it out. So German Shepherds, I love dogs, pet lovers, the audience that purchased might all be coming from Pet Lover Center or Pet Store. And you don't know that because Facebook does not, it can't break this up. It just kind of pools them all together, right? And so what you want to do when you're trying to, number one, train the pixel, but also figure out where your best audience is you want to break these out into separate ad sets. Now, if your budget is low, then yes, by all means, combine them. That's fine. You'll still get clicks. Facebook will try to optimize as much as possible. But if you still don't have a mature pixel and you don't personally know where your audience is coming from, then Facebook is going to waste a lot of money on these other audiences just because you combine them. Okay. Mistake number 4, directing visitors to the home page instead of the product page. Now, this can actually work if you have a single product, a single SKU store, right? A single product store, right? Because then your home page essentially turns into your sales page. Every single button kind of leads to the same thing. But if you have a store that has a lot of different products, then a home page can have a lot of different links. It's not there to be a sales page, again, unless you have a single product. It's supposed to be brand focused, not product focused. The home page has 23 links, right? And remember what so the thing with the baton also works with this, right? So somebody clicks on your ad. Now the ad has to hand the baton off to the website to do the rest of the work. If you bring somebody to the homepage, you're giving them the paradox of choice, right? They can click anywhere, and you've just lost it. You've just lost control of their journey, right? Up until now, you've controlled it. So what you want to do is, if they clicked on an ad for this shirt, send them to a product page for this shirt. Don't say, oh, well, I showed them the shirt, but they might like other stuff, right? So I'm going to send them to the homepage. Don't do that whatsoever. And by the way, on the homepage, stay away from scroll sliders as well. That's a conversion killer. But you want to send them directly to the product page so that they can do the next thing, and that's add to cart, right? That is the whole point of sending them to the ad. It's the process. Click on add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase. You want to control that journey. Okay. Bonus mistake number 5. Misunderstood messaging. Bic had to apologize for this one, but knowing your audience, right? Knowing what's going to resonate with them, creating an ad that's going to resonate with them, and not kind of go against, everything. I mean, I don't like this one, right? Look like a girl, act like a lady, think like a man, work like a boss. Know your audience, know who you're targeting, right? Gillette got into some trouble a few years back as well, where they did a whole ad for toxic masculinity or something like that. And their whole demographic is male, right? They're masculine men, people that shave, right? So there's being I guess I don't know how to put it. Like, you want to be relevant, or you want to be trendy, but then you have to know your audience as well. Okay. How to test your ads without losing a ton of money. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some loose rules here. So when you're running ads, I'm going to get into the structure of the ads when we get into navigating the ad sets, or the ad account. But what you want to look at from your ads are 2,000 impressions. Anything below 2,000 impressions is not enough data to determine whether the ad is good or bad. 2,000 impressions shouldn't be that much. Generally speaking, CPM, which is basically a metric that calculates cost per 1,000 impressions, it can hover depending on the quarter. So, 4 quarters, January being the cheapest, fourth quarter being the most expensive, and it just kind of climbs as the year goes on. But yeah, you'll see it around, $10, $15 throughout the year, but hovers around $10. If you have more than one ad in an ad set, then wait 8,000 impressions, right? So the loose rule is kill your ads at 2,000, kill your ad sets at 8,000. Again, I'm saying ad sets. If you don't know what that is yet, don't worry. We're going to talk about that in a second. But that's the general rule. Okay. Soft metrics. This is what I was talking about before. So we have hard metrics and we have soft metrics. Now, your hard metrics are the things like purchase or add to cart. These are things that show purchase intent. You're monitoring the price of these. You're monitoring the percentage of these and how people are flowing through that journey that you guys are establishing, right? Click on the ad, click on add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase, things like that. The soft metrics are click-through rate. So impressions, how many, like CPMs, things like that. If you have your ad in front of 1,000 people, how many people are clicking through the site? If that's really low, then you know that you've got a bottleneck in your ad. And your hard metrics are going to suffer from it. So your hard metrics might be really bad, but these are the metrics that are going to come in first. So it might cost $100 to get a purchase, but it's not going to cost $100 to get a click. It's going to cost maybe $10 to get a click, maybe $5. Maybe it costs you 50 cents, right? Like, it really depends on your CPM, right? But if your cost per click, if your click through rate is so low that your cost is, even just $10, that means that you're getting 1 click per 1,000 impressions. That's not good whatsoever. That's horrible. That's 0.01% or something, whatever. So you could kill earlier and know that, okay, I don't have to spend that much money. I already know that this sucks, right? I'm going to change something up here, right? Again, wait for 2,000 impressions though, because you don't know if your ad is really crap just yet, or it just needs to optimize a little bit. Okay, so these are kind of some of the benchmarks for e-commerce. So for 100 people that come to your site, 43.8% on average will view the actual product itself. So they'll go to the product page. 14.5% will add to cart, and 3.3% will purchase. Okay, so out of 100, 43 people, 14 people, you should get 3 purchases out of 100 people that come to your site. Okay, so how do we determine an appropriate budget for your campaign? Okay, so we kind of have to know our margins for this. And we're going to get into the unlimited ATM in I think next slide or the slide after. So the metric for this is this. So if your CPM is $10 and we're going to wait for 8,000 impressions to turn off an ad set, then if it's $10, then we're going to spend $80 per ad set. Now your ad set is the same thing as an audience. And again, I'm going to get into this when we talk about structure. But it's going to be CPM times 8, because 8,000 impressions, times the number of audiences. Okay? Again, we're going to wait for 8,000 impressions before we turn off the audience. So if you're testing dog lovers against just pugs lovers, against different locations or whatever. These are all different buckets of audiences. They all have to optimize, and they all, again, loose rule, they don't need, but you want to give them at least 8,000 impressions. Okay. Okay. So here's some benchmarks here, but let me go here. Okay. So this is the unlimited ATM. So the way this works is like this. If your profit from 3 sales is greater than your cost of 100 clicks, then your budget should be unlimited. Okay? So I'll say that again. If your profit from 3 sales is greater than the cost of 100 clicks, then your budget should be unlimited. Let me go through some of these numbers so that I can try to make sense of this. So, and I think this should be 60. Okay. So that should be 60. So anyways, okay. So your AOV, which is your average order value, is $60. And your cost of goods sold, so that could be advertising, that could be anything. Your cost is $20. Your profit margin is 60%. That gives you a profit of $40. Okay? If you have a $40 profit, your cost per click is $1. And we have a conversion rate of 3%, which means for every 100 people that come to the site, you should be getting 3 purchases. If that's the case, and you're getting a cost per click of $1, then that means it's going to cost you $100 to get 100 clicks to the website. Out of that 100 clicks, you're going to get 3 purchases. Out of those 3 purchases, your profit is $40 per purchase. So that is actually, you're making a $20 profit there. So if you get those numbers, then that's unlimited budget. Keep putting into that. Now, the only caveat to that is when people get these numbers, they end up trying to scale hard. So they'll go from, if they're spending $500 a day, if they're really excited about this, they might drop $5,000 a day. They might drop $1,000 a day. I've seen people just drop $10,000 right away. Like, oh, cool. Okay. Add a few zeros on that one. The problem is that Facebook's algorithm doesn't really work that way. With Google, you have a better chance of doing that. With Facebook, no. So as soon as you scale too hard, things start to break. And that's because of the way Facebook's algorithm works. So when you launch an ad, the algorithm is called pacing. And the reason is because it's giving you really good placements. It kind of goes like this. It paces up and down, up and down. And the reason is because it paces up. It gives you really good placements for really cheap, just so it can test your ad and determine what the market is, like who's most likely to click and all of this stuff. So it's going to give you It's going to put you in front of what they think is the best audience. And then it's going to drop it, right? It's going to go up and down. It's going to determine, because what it wants to do is it wants to find a sweet spot. So they know that, okay, well, we can't sustain this. We're only going to give them this cheap inventory for a little while, and then they're going to start dripping it or dipping it a little bit, and they're going to try it at different quality of people that they have on the site for the objective that you have. At some point, it finds its groove, and it starts to level off, and then it knows who to go for and how to get them at a very good price, right? With that, if you throw in, think of it like they're on a rhythm, they're on a stride. If you throw in, you change it from 500 to 5,000 in one day, then it's going to break the algorithm. It's going to break the stride, because now it has to go faster. It needs to find more people, and it needs to go back into pacing, right? You might not be so lucky, and your ad set or your ad that was working awesome and had this formula is now broken. And so now when it's at 10,000, you're going to get really bad. It's going to level off at a worse spot. It's not going to have this, or it might, but it's going to be a lot lower. And that's very common that happens. This is actually one of the reasons why a lot of really talented media buyers actually hire me. And there's actually agencies that actually hire me to fix their campaigns as well. And one of the reasons is because of that. They just can't scale hard enough. They have these numbers, and every time they try to put more money in, this breaks. And so the reason is, again, because of that algorithm. So you have to kind of work with Facebook and kind of massage it a little bit, and and try to get it up to a bigger budget. So that's the unlimited ATM. Okay, so we're gonna get into the ad account here. At no point am I kind of leaving this slide and going into the actual ad account. I kept it on the slides because I find these slides actually a little more organized and more more organized. Okay, so this is the structure of the Facebook ads manager, and this is how you plan out your campaign. So you have your campaign, and this is kind of like the overarching folder. Within that campaign, you have ad sets. The ad sets are where you're going to determine your targeting, your budget, your placement, your optimization, your bid. Okay, this is, like I said, your audience. This campaign level, this is where you're going to tell Facebook what you want it to do. Do you want to find people that are going to convert into purchases? Do you want to find people that are just going to visit your site? So traffic campaign. What type of campaign do you want? There's 11 that Facebook has. And I'll show you what that dashboard looks like. But this is, what do you want Facebook to do? This is, who do you want Facebook to go after, right? And what's the budget for these people? Right? $10 a day, $20 a day, so on. Okay. And then in these ad sets, you have ads. And that's where, what we were talking about before, you have creatives, you have a headline, you have the primary text. Those are all individual ads. Okay. And this is what it looks like in the actual ad account. You have these folders. Now, this is the fourth one here. This is the overall, just a snapshot of the whole account. But then you have campaigns, right? And this is, again, this is the top level. And within here, in each one of these are all optimized for something different, right? Conversions, traffic, whatever, right? But then when we click on one of these, we go, oh, okay. So before we get to the ad set, these are the 11 optimization things. So you can tell Facebook if you want to find people that you want to run a campaign for brand awareness. So what Facebook will do, the metric for that is people that will see your ad and have a recall of your brand within, I believe, 2 days. So So it'll find people that basically will have a brand recall of your brand. Reach, this literally just tries to hit as many people in your audience as possible. So if you say, okay, well, I've got 1 million people in this audience, it's going to just rapid fire through all of them. It doesn't matter if they remember them. It doesn't matter. It's just about impressions. Where we would use this, generally we don't use this, but where we would use this is, let's say, the last day of a Black Friday sale, right? Where we only have a day to get the message in front of people. So this is like just spray and pray, right? There's no optimization here. Facebook is just kind of just releasing it to everybody, right? Then we have consideration. We have traffic, engagement, app installs, video views. It is using its algorithm here. Traffic is going to find people that are going to give you a lot of traffic, but these are not the best campaigns to drive unless you're training a pixel and you're you're in the driver's seat here, right? Because you are going to get a lot of traffic coming to your site, but you're going to find that, they might bounce. They're just really low quality, right? And then you have conversions, right? And this is, the conversion campaign is the most common for sales. That's what you're going to click on if you want sales. You have catalog sales. That's the same type of thing. But again, remember, this is best for bottom of funnel or the hot traffic. But these are the 11. Okay, so for this example, we're going to click on conversion. Now, campaign budget optimization is something I wouldn't say is new, but it's newer in the structure that I showed you. Campaign budget optimization is basically where you tell Facebook, okay, I'm not going to put the budget in the ad set. I'm actually going to give it to the campaign. And so traditionally, the way this would work is you would pick an objective, then you would go to the ad set and you would pick your budget. And then you would put a whole bunch of ads within your ad set. And Facebook would determine what ad gets more budget than the other, right? But this would be at an ad set level. Now Facebook has introduced this. Now they've introduced this, I want to say like 1.5 years ago, or maybe even longer. And when they first introduced this was only supposed to be temporary, or not the option was supposed to be temporary. And then what they were supposed to do was migrate everybody from ad set optimization to campaign budget optimization. So this option wouldn't be here. Facebook actually wanted to migrate, but they never actually have. And they keep saying that they are going to make this change, but they haven't yet in like 1.5 years. But basically what this is campaign optimization is like, we're going to give the campaign the budget now, and it's going to determine what audience gets more budget than others. So what ad set gets most of the budget, and then the ad set is going to determine which ad gets the most budget. So again, it goes into this thing where Facebook wants you to take the hands off the wheel and let it drive as much as possible. Now, this is really powerful for scaling fast. If you want to get away with taking a $500 a day budget and putting it into 5,000, you have a better chance of not breaking the algorithm if you use campaign optimization rather than the ad set optimization. But, you've got to test. Okay, so when we turn it on, you're going to get this display that pops up on the same screen, and it's going to ask you what budget you want to give. So what you would basically do here is you would take all your ad sets and look, okay, well, I want to put $20 a day on each audience so that I have, 5 audiences in there. So that's $100. So then you would put the $100 here and let Facebook determine if there's a bad performing audience, then it's actually going to take the $20 you would have spent there and it's going to put it in, let's say $40 or $60 into the best performer, right? Now this isn't always good, but there's a way that you can, there's a little selection on your ad set where you could say spend a minimum on this ad set of, say, $10. So even if it's bad, I want to test it, at least feed $10 here. right? Because what Facebook will do is it will actually find a winner and just go. It'll spend all the budget on that winner, and it won't test the other ones. And you could have a really a really good potential winner that could perform better. Anyways, so on the ad set level, this is where you're going to select your pixel and what you want to optimize for. So the conversion event, when you're training the pixel, you want to change this to something that is easy to get. So view content, that's pretty easy for Facebook to get. Again, you're not going to get the greatest quality traffic coming through, but at least you're starting to train Facebook on, okay, well, this is a ballpark of the people that might purchase, right? And you're starting to get used to that. But then when you have at least 50 of whatever the next conversion event is, then you want to optimize for that, okay, within the week. So 50 conversions within the week. Okay, so the screen that we looked at before, where we were talking about targeting, I talked about the broad, we were talking about all of that stuff. I love pugs, that's in here. All right, so targeting options from earlier, right here. Demographic, all here, Canada, all of that. Some people find success with this button here, the expand your detailed targeting. I mean, there's some people that like it. Some people swear by not using it because it puts you more into control if you don't use it. I would say test. That's the best option because there isn't a hard answer to this. But if you don't have any data, I mean, it doesn't hurt to open up your audience, but I would probably uncheck it. Try to be as precise as possible because you want to train Facebook up on this. Your placements, you can keep it at automatic, and Facebook will feed it to the best performer. If you know, like, if you have, let's say, an image that you want to use on all of your placements, but let's say the image doesn't have any text on it, and it's literally just, an image of, like, let's say some mountains or something, just to get people's attention. That might work on the feed, but on stories, it might not make any sense, right? On Facebook stories or Instagram stories, it might not make any sense to just have a picture of a mountain with no text or no context, with just a swipe up, right? So in that case, you might want to go to edit placements and tick off stories on that. Now, the other option is you can actually select a different image for stories with that same ad. But I don't like doing that. And the reason is because I like controlling all of the different variables of what I'm testing. I would rather create a different ad altogether with that image instead of putting it in the same ad and just changing the actual image to something else. Because now I don't know if the ad's working or just that placement is working, right? And I'd rather have more control over that. This right here, the spend, the ad spend limit, this is where you would put that ad spend limit. So you could say, okay, spend a maximum of this or spend a minimum of this on the ad set if you're doing campaign optimization. If you're not, then you're going to have your budget here that you establish. Okay, this is where you would choose which page and which Instagram account you would select. You're going to select your image here. Leave this unchecked. Now, feel free to experiment with all of these, but the majority of traffic comes from, you're going to see the biggest success with single images, carousels, catalog, videos, things like that. Things like collections are good too. Don't get me wrong, like that's good too. Instant experiences. these are all things that you can test, but I wouldn't start with them because they're a little. Start with the proven ones first. These ones don't get as much inventory, I would say, as the other ones. And then on your ad level, this is where you would select your image. Your primary text would go here. And then this is where you would select the pixel that you actually created earlier on in the step. Okay, and then you would click confirm, and you are done. That's it. So I guess we can open it up to questions. Cleo, are you back? I see your screen there. Let's see here.
I don't know.
Okay. Let's see.
All right. Okay. So, guys, sorry, just listening. It's time for questions. Sorry, my face is super close to the camera there.
My face?
No, I've been like half listening while I'm in other meetings for stuff. This has been amazing. So Elvina or Elvina, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I know you said you have a question, so go right ahead.
Hi, yeah, I just pop it in the chat, but I just asked if you have a niche market that don't use Facebook, like should my business still use Facebook ad on? And the second part of that, like, because I know my target market use Instagram, so because like Facebook basically owns everything too.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, is the Facebook ad that you show is exclusive for only like the Facebook app, or is it run on Instagram too?
No, it's Instagram. Absolutely.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah. So you would adjust that in the placements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you would go to edit place. If you don't want to run on Facebook, then you would actually you would go to edit placements and unselect all of your Facebook placements and just leave the Instagram placements there.
Amazing.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then MR, you said you have a question?
Yes, hello?
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much for fielding my question, and thank you for the presentation.
Yeah.
My question is, I have a bit of experience with Facebook advertising. I'll preface this by saying, what can you recommend to insulate yourself from having your account shut down unfairly? I've seen a lot of situations where people, they get strikes or they get their ad account shut down for either innocent mistakes or, by policy updates that they weren't aware of. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that's not like black hat, like creating, fake profiles, things like that you can, turn me on to in terms of insulating yourself from getting your whole advertising platform shut down?
Yeah. So, I mean, Facebook just went through like a whole ban of even profiles on their platform. Mm-hmm. But generally, I mean, it's the AI, right? So if you can give it more approvals than it has disapprovals, then you're in a better spot. So the more ads that you have that have a green, they reviewed it, they approved it, and you have a good history of that, then that's good. If you're connected to if you're connected to a bunch of ads that have disapproved, then don't leave them in your account. Delete them. Mm-hmm. You'll still get the metrics. You'll still get the data that you need. And a lot of people do this. And this comes down to like even ads that might have been following, a policy back in the day, but it's just in the account because the account is years old, like, whatever years old. And then Facebook changed something. And then all of a sudden that doesn't comply with it. And even though the ad isn't running, because it's in the account and it's not deleted, Facebook can kind of use that. The algorithm can use it as kind of a red flag or a signal. So make sure you clean out your account. Anything you're not using, anything that's, multiple years old, just erase. And again, you can always pull it up if you need that data again, right? Some other things, just, obviously, violence, nudity, like all the common ones,
Yeah.
There's also little things like the word "you." They don't really like before and afters, all of that stuff. You're not going to get that stuff approved. I mean, you can. It could get through, but yeah, generally speaking, you're not.
Yeah,
gonna-
the word "you" is a funny one, definitely.
Yeah.
But I guess understandable. Especially, I've noticed also now with coronavirus, even things like, for example, cold pressed juice,
Mhm.
products that are not medical products per se, but they sort of fit into an anterior niche of medical
Right.
sort of supplements and things. It's really tough to, you know, to toe the line on this kind of product. So I appreciate the clarification on that. I wish I could ask you more questions, but I want to leave the floor open for other people. So thank you for the great presentation.
Yeah, cool.
Next we have hi John, and he says, how would you go about, actually John, can you just ask your question, because I feel like it's unclear.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry, I messed up with the text.
No problem.
I have a bed and breakfast, and we do rolfing and all kinds of healing, acupuncture and all kinds of healing stuff. And we made a certificate. Well, what happens is people want to find out about the practices. They want to order things from us after they stay here. And so we wanted to do a store. And so we were, and so it's, yeah, is that what you're talking about with some of the ad things, and how would we approach this? Because here we have the certificate with this added value bundle. Certainly can, the sale is a lot greater, so it can justify more ads than say some of our smaller items that are $5 or $10 that it doesn't really make sense. I mean, we're not making much money on those ones at the store, but we supply that to our people. How would I go about piggyback marketing those, or would I just stay with the central focus and then do overflow marketing with the other?
So,
with the store?
So how do you extend the lifetime value of each person that stays at your place? Is that the question?
Yeah, it's the cold, getting into that level. It's how do we reach people with the cold, on the cold level, and yeah, and then also we can certainly do the hot deals for people that are scarcity model. That's I definitely have been doing that, but I want to really reach out and expand rather than use it. We've been using a lot of third-party marketers to get us out there, and we want to reach people directly and focus on our niche, which isn't really offered in the third-party marketing services that we get. So we often get low rate stays and not along what we're trying to do. And sometimes it's frustrating. We're getting clients that aren't a fit for us, and we want long-term clients. We want clients that appreciate. Most of the people that get our certificates, they could run the place. I mean, they're advocates, man. They want it, but it's, yeah, how do you reach out to more of them? And yeah, the demographic has been just so daunting. Yes, it's a accepted thing, alternative practices are, but yeah, what demographic? I mean, you could certainly say alternative practices. You could then say, cat lovers. You could, animal lovers. You could try to reference it with some things you've noticed about the different clients. Anyway, those are 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah. So that's, yeah. So, so let me break down some of them. So in terms of, increasing that lifetime value, the best time to sell somebody is when they're buying. The thing is, though, that you want, how do I say this? So when it comes to online stores, you want repeat purchases. I mean, that is one of the most valuable things you can get. So anything you can do, and to your point, you said you have a store that you can kind of sell to after they've stayed and all of that. Why not in the purchase process, right? So somebody that purchases from you once is 50% more likely to purchase from you again than somebody that didn't purchase from you. And if they purchase from you a second time, they're 65% more likely to purchase from you a third time. And on that third purchase, they are they spend on average 3 times what they spent on their first purchase, right? So repeat purchases is the holy grail of any business. So if you have a way to do that, and it sounds like you do with a store, then that's great, right? Even if it's, it's not the price of the retreat, but you're adding things to it so that you're increasing this average order value. And the other reason why that's good is because you're increasing your margins at that point. Now you could pay more Facebook at the end of the day is an auction, right? So you could pay more in an auction to acquire all of the people that might be interested. Facebook divides all of the people that might purchase from you. It needs to divide that. It can't give it all to you. It's inventory. So it's based on an auction. And if you win on that auction, if you're willing to spend, $200 to acquire a customer and somebody's only willing to spend 50, well, then you win, and you could put your bid at that. And then Facebook will just, give you a whole boatload of them. And that only comes with your average order value, not your purchase price. So if you can increase your average order value, ideally you want to do it on the front end, but if you can do it on the back end, then that works too. So I'm not sure if that answers your first question. I can move on to the second question of targeting. Did that kind of answer the first one, at least a little bit? Okay, I'll move on to the second question.
I'm still going to reflect on it.
It's okay. So the targeting, so with the targeting, you want to target as much as possible. You want to hit anything that you can think of from an interest standpoint, anything that you could tie into. And this is going to come down to an angle that you use for your sale. So what I mean by that is, if you're targeting, let's say, I don't know who the target market is, but let's say you have a thing that can work with, mothers or something. I don't know. That could be an angle. If you've got a product that works with so many different categories, all you have to do is change the messaging and match it to who you're targeting, and you can attract them, right? The ad online, because it's so precise, you can do that. With TV ads, billboards, you can't do that. You have to be so broad, right? With Facebook, you can do that. You can be as specific as you want, right? Now, there's certain things you can't do. You can't call out like minorities and things like that on Facebook, or anything that would seem creepy to the viewer. Yeah, you can't do that. That's against the policy. But you can say, attention, single moms or something like that, or whatever. Have you ever thought about da-da-da-da, right? And have specific things, but you want to test as much as possible, even if it's a low budget, and look at the soft metrics there. Are you getting clicks? Are you getting people to view your website? It doesn't always have to be bookings to show you if it's a winner or not.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Phil. So we'll take 3 more questions for the night. We have Raheem next, and then Melly's Chase, and then Dima, and we'll call it an evening. So Raheem, go ahead.
Thank you, Cleo. Also, great presentation. It's been a great session.
Cool.
The question I have is related to business registration and opening a Shopify store. So I recently actually started selling some products that I've been sourcing, all brand new products. It's usually through word of mouth, and I've had some repeat customers. Not taking into account my time, because your time at the beginning, obviously you need to put in more work. My cost of goods sold, I'd say I'm completely profitable. When I was thinking about the whole Shopify store, especially in your presentation, I was thinking, should I get to a point where I'm gonna now set up a business let's say a business account at the bank, set up a business registration and everything like that? Or would you suggest set up the store, get everything like that started, tweak with the website, then do all the legal aspects of it? I'm just wondering if you had any tips on that end.
Sorry, so what was that beginning again? So you've got, are you drop shipping products?
No, so like I'm actually getting it directly to myself, and I was going to drop ship it, but instead I'm just sourcing it online and actually delivering it myself. And the thing is, I was doing it as a hobby just to see how it may work out in case I decide to do this like and scale it. So I'm delivering hand to hand to the customers, usually getting payment either before or figuring out later. So I was just wondering if I do open like a Shopify store, I could sell through that channel. Obviously, that can possibly be more profitable. I can reach more people. But right now, because it's more of a hobby and I'm just testing things out, is it better to get that maybe the business bank account started, get business registration started, or do the online store first and then work out everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would probably. You're at validation stage right now. I mean, you kind of validated that this works. I would probably do the minimum viable at this point.
Okay.
Do what you need to do. I would probably validate this a bit more. But then again, a bank account and everything like that, it doesn't really take that long. I mean, I guess why not, right? Like,
yeah,
how are you making sales right now? Like, what shopping cart are you using? What do you?
So right now I'm just sourcing through different online websites, and then I'm usually doing like B2C, and it's usually like small sales. But right now I've been scaling up and doing a bit more like wholesale or bulk items.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. So I mean, we have a lot of people that have come to us from Amazon. Where they want to get off Amazon because they can't do the holy grail of online marketing where they don't own the customer, right? And your customer, the customers that you own should account for anywhere from 20 to 50% of your business. If you can get them to repurchase, that's the whole thing. So it's not uncommon for people to be, say, on Etsy or eBay or Amazon or anything like that, and then move to an actual Shopify store to scale and own the brand, right? I think it comes down to the SMART goals that I talked about, right? Like, what is the thing that you want to accomplish? What's the next step for you? Where do you want to get? And then kind of work backward from there.
Right now, I'm like filling a need. And that's where I see like I've given the most value. And instead of like drop shipping or anything like that, what I'll do is I'll directly provide it to the customer. That way, at least I kind of like engaging with them. And when it comes down to it later, I can possibly drop ship. But I just see myself filling a need and just being smart with it and strategic that way.
Yeah, drop shipping is going to change it a lot though, because drop shipping is going to extend the time. Right.
Not all my customers are savvy with the internet as well. Not all of them. Some are, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. But then, but not even with that, it's just a time thing, right? And that's what it comes down to. It's like they're going to have to wait for, anywhere from a month to 2 months to get their product. And so that's the biggest downfall with drop shipping. You can get them faster if you want to make a direct agreement with a manufacturer or somebody that's local. That's a different story, and then you can set up drop shipping apps and things like that in Shopify, and all the orders go to them. But it sounds like you validated something, and it's just about validating the sale, right? Because as soon as you put ads and as soon as you start scaling this thing, what happens then, right? You need to start.
It's a whole nother level then.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Phil and Cleo.
Awesome.
Who was the last person that just went to anybody? Who was the last person that just finished?
It was me, Raheem. I just finished.
Okay, perfect. So the next person is Dima. No, I lied. It's Melisa Chase. I'm so sorry. It's a name. Melissa Chase, are you there? Okay, maybe not. Dima, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much for the presentation. And I just wanted to ask if you had any experience with Pinterest advertising, and if so, how does that compare to?
Sorry, I can't make that out. Experience with what?
With Pinterest advertising, using Pinterest to advertise.
I'm not. No, I'm not getting. Oh, Pinterest. Thank you, Pinterest. Okay. No, I don't. Sorry. Is your so that generally what we see is that's usually like the third arm that people go into. They do Facebook, Google, and then Pinterest, depending on the niche, of course. I don't generally see people starting on Pinterest unless they have, most of their audience there. They have an established organic following there. Then and their analytics are showing that sales are happening there. Then absolutely, but yeah, we usually see that as a third arm. Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Okay.
Cool.
Perfect. So I think,
Oh my God.
is there anybody, hold on, I'm just checking our chat to see if there's any other questions. Dima was the last one, I think. Oh, let's do one more. Kayla, you can have yours. And she asks, can you do drop shipping by Shopify?
Yes, you can. There's a ton of apps that do it. I don't have one off the top of my head, but if you go to Shopify, there's an app store in there, and just do a search for drop shipping, and there's going to be a ton of apps that you can download. Some are paid. I'm not sure if there's any free ones, but I mean, if you are you trying to set it up? Actually, I guess I should actually ask, is this a direct drop shipping agreement, or is this drop shipping in general? So like from an Alibaba or something like that? Or is this you've made an agreement with the manufacturer and you want to drop ship their item specifically?
She said it's the latter. You want to drop ship the item
specifically from somebody else. Okay. So yeah, so there is apps like that. Absolutely. But I would probably choose one that's more premium rather than one of the free ones, just because your whole business is going to be on this. If that's the case, I've had a few clients that have done this, and I can't think of the app right now, but absolutely, there's a ton. Just do a search in the App Store. You can find one.
Amazing. So I feel like it's 8:05. We fully kept you for 2 entire hours. So we're going to let you go at this point. Everybody, thank you so much for taking the time. Actually, let me put my video on. Sorry, I just realized I had it off. These are my protective glasses against blue light.
Cool. Everybody's doing that. I got to get one of those.
I know. I mostly just wear them because I think they make me look kind of cool. Everybody, it's been a magnificent night. Thank you so much. Tonight's recording will be up on YouTube at Ryerson Startup School, probably by Monday, if I'm being honest with you. The slides eventually will be available when our website is done and finished. I'm actually going through it right now just to check like all the fine details and the minutia. Phil, you the best ever. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. It was a pleasure.
Everybody, it's been a great. Kayla, I don't even know where I got these glasses, to be honest. I think they're my niece's. I found them in the office that I'm in. She wears them because she found them, I think, at Claire's, to be honest with you. But everybody have a magnificent night. It's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. It's beautiful weather. Get outside, and I will see you all next week for our final week at Startup School. Blessings on blessings. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye.